Welcome to the Remedial Film Class Podcast, Season 2, Episode number 1. I'm Dan, your host.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm George.
And George made it through Season 1. He got middling grades, but we'll pass him. But tonight he's in for a special treat because he's returning from fall break. George, how was your fall break?
It was fantastic. I watched every Friday the 13th and even some Jason movies that didn't even say Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Here we are. We've returned to our curriculum. We're here back in the full serious remedial film class. And so for your first project this year, we're actually going to give you an essay of sorts at what I did on my fall break. Do you think you'd be able to get me that double spaced and in Times New Roman, say 10, make it a little small? Sound good?
Sure. How many pages?
You know what?
/ words?
Forget the pages. Let's just do this. It'll be a little bit more straightforward if Travis and I have you watch Friday the 13th from 2009. It's a bit of a reboot of what you watched over your fall break.
Okay.
And then we'll have you come back to the classroom and give us a full report orally.
Ooh.
Hey now.
All right.
So, I would normally ask you at this point in the show, George, what you expect from this movie you've never seen. But I think you've probably got a pretty damn good idea of what to expect.
Yeah.
So instead, I'm going to ask you this. How do you think you would reboot Friday the 13th?
Oh, God. That's a great question.
That's on the spot.
Give me your elevator pitch. Let me hear your elevator pitch for rebooting Friday the 13th.
Well, the whole franchise? Or like
I'm just saying, you've got the keys to the kingdom. You're making Friday the 13th, and everybody knows it's a reboot. How do you do it? Give me a quick pitch.
It's tough because it's just one movie, right? So, I mean, because my biggest gripe or my, where I would have taken the franchise would have been what's his name?
Jarvis.
Yeah. Tommy Jason.
Tommy Jason.
That would have been where I went in that direction. And so everything up to that point I thought was done really well except for 3. I just would have done the same movie without 3D,
So you would have done 4.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
4, the remake.
Yeah.
Second chances.
I don't know. I like my Jason to be mortal. I definitely would keep him mortal. And believe it or not, it would definitely be pre-hockey mask.
Okay.
I believe it. I've seen the Town of the Dread. I mean, Friday the 13th Part 2. I know what's up.
Yeah. But I don't think there's really much to fix before,
Well, think of maybe not to fix, but how, as a fan, now that you are a fan. Because most people that get to do the reboot, they are fans, and they are getting a chance to tell their version. Like, I remember a few months ago we talked about how cool it would be that every Halloween they would give the movie Halloween to a new director and see what they would do with it. Even though it's the same movie, same script and whatever, just to see visually how somebody would do it differently. Changing it is one thing, but to actually pay it a homage or pay it the respect is another way of thinking of it too. Because that's how I would handle it. I wouldn't change anything, but I would handle it respectfully. And
yeah, I think the only thing I would fix would be maybe timeline. There's a lot of timeline issues. I think maybe I would I might make the first one, happen on the day that Jason quote unquote drowns.
So she loses her shit that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that opens it up to be more like Jason definitely did see her die, and that's why Jason is the way he is.
Right.
Whereas you don't get that in the originals.
I don't think they ever expected to do the second one. That's probably why.
Probably.
Yeah. Is that true, Dan?
Yeah. No, they had no idea. That's the cool thing with these movies. Like, they leave them open for sequels, but really until Friday 2, trying to think, but I think Friday 2 is the first really like sequel of a slasher movie that made any money. And it is the thing that spawns the sequelitis that all the other franchises fall into immediately because it makes so much money.
Right.
Up until that point, they were all one-off slashers. So let me ask you this, George. Cynically, Try to put on your cynical hat. I know that's difficult for you, but just try it. How do you expect the remake to go? The Rebooty Friday. What are they going to do? What are they going to give you?
All the tropes right on the nose. You're going to get boobs. You're going to get hopefully much better special effects because it's happening when special effects have progressed more. So that should be good.
I was really hoping you were going to say, hopefully, Angry Pickle.
Angry Pickle. Slightly Angry Pickle.
Partially Angry Pickle. Day 3 of before you call the doctor.
That's hours,
3
bro.
pickle?
Not days.
Is it 4 hours? I thought it was 4 days.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, you know.
What the hell were we talking about? Oh, what do I expect?
Yeah, what does Cynical George expect from a reboot of a franchise that you've now seen 10 picture movies? 10 movies from.
See, Cynical
10
George.
picture movies.
Cynical George expects bad acting, unrealistic special effects, lots of boobs,
This is what you're expecting?
lots of tropes. That's Cynical George.
Okay.
I hope it's not like that.
Okay.
You know, I hope it's well done, and I hope that they do the tropes, but not in a tropey way. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
you don't want it to be cliche. You want them to actually pay homage with the tropes, but not make an airplane movie or like a scary movie. Yeah,
Right.
I hear you.
So cynical me says all those things, but the fan in me wants it to be good.
Well, George, I think you've said enough because all I want to do is spoil this fucking movie. So here's what we're going to do. You guys go watch the movie, and then we'll get back together here, and we'll talk about it in depth. All right?
Let's get to work.
And we're back.
Well, George, my man, that's your 11th Friday the 13th you just sat through in about, 4 weeks or something? We've really crammed these in there.
No.
I mean, for you, it's like a first-time traumatic experience. For me, this is like every October. So
yeah, you just lived like 20 years in like a couple weeks.
this is what we do every year at my house.
It was rad.
What?
It's pretty rad.
You liked
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's freaking sweet, dude.
It didn't really matter. It really didn't matter if the movie was good or not. That's almost the beauty of it.
Tell me
It was
more,
a
man. I want to
bonus.
hear your initial impressions. I want to hear what you got. I don't need notes. I need feelings.
Of this one?
Yeah, man.
This one was really good. It was really well done. It was like an actual movie. It wasn't, an 80s,
Watch it.
tropey slasher.
Watch it.
Like,
Yeah.
It was decent.
It was taken seriously.
It was taken seriously. The acting was good. Even
Even the bad acting was good.
even the country bumpkin guy
Yeah.
at the sawmill or wherever he was, he was a little off and weird and not normal, but even he was a half decent actor.
The guy was molesting mannequins.
I know.
I think he was supposed to be a little off.
Yeah, he was definitely supposed to be a little off, but you know who I'm comparing
Yeah.
to, right? The bumpkins
Yeah.
in 3
And
were
part 9. The people running the diner were like that stereotypical.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, even he was, and it was good because he was in there, he was weird, and he was in the movie for just the right amount of time,
Mhm.
like about 10 seconds. It was good. That's all we needed.
I don't know, man. Old paper cuts, as I call him, not a big fan of that guy.
Yeah, well,
Kind of wish he wasn't in the movie at all.
there were some things I was wondering about, like, for instance, why didn't Jason just kill Whitney? Is that her name?
Whitney.
Yeah, why was she still alive?
She resembled his mother.
Is that why?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they touched on that when they find the locket.
Yeah, the boyfriend guy.
The boyfriend gives her the locket. Was she wearing it when he was about to kill her?
Yeah,
'Cause
he
that
puts
might-
it on. Muscle Shelley, the
Yeah.
boyfriend, who's kind of like half Rob, half Shelley. Very
Yeah.
strange. He puts the locket on her and is like, "Ugh, she kind of looks like you."
Yeah,
which is
That
weird.
was kind of setting that up.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of if you were like it on Michael's, and you're like, "Hey, baby, this picture in the frame, the stock one from the company, kind of looks like you. I'm gonna
Kinda
buy
looks
it,
like you."
put it on my shelf."
Yeah, it's funny because they kind of, again, one of the most awesome openings ever. Everything that happens before the title
Yeah.
is just effing amazing.
Yeah, I like how they addressed the first movie
Yeah.
the way they did.
Yeah.
Really
See-
short. They
Short and
redid
sweet.
they redid that one scene that was the most important scene, and they kept true to the lines,
Mhm.
and it it was really well
It's
done.
perfect.
Yep.
But when Jason does the blade and what was the boyfriend's name?
Muscle Shelly.
Muscle Shelley. Puts that blade through his head and then does the retrieval, the classic Jason retrieval, and then comes at her, and then they cut it.
Hmm.
So at some point in his full rage, he sees that locket around her neck.
Right.
Oh,
But
now
you don't-
that's Superstore that he gets from the bear trap. Muscle Shelly's the guy who gets the Rob kill. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He's killing me. Get out of here. Instead, it's just like, Whitney, run. Bleh, stuff's coming out of
Yeah.
him. That was a way better version of what they tried to do in part 4.
Yes.
Hell of a lot better.
Yeah, his homages everywhere.
I am dying.
He's killing me.
He's killing
Tree is
me.
killing me.
Run. Yeah. Yeah, way better with like blood goop flying out of him while he says it. Way grosser.
Mm.
But also way more effective. I was really kind of worried, George. You being the part 1 staunch protector, right? This whole time, 1 has been your number 1
Mhm.
Friday. And here I give you a movie called Friday. And they basically make part 1 like a footnote before the pre-credit sequence. And I was like, "Ugh, I don't know if George is going to like this."
Well, part two was one of my favorites too.
Yeah.
True.
I think they knew that so they're not
Yeah.
going to spend the whole movie trying to remake that reveal.
Right.
So I almost was glad they didn't dumb it down, because when you watch like the third Spider-Man movie where they do the origin story and you're just like, okay, I get it. Uncle Ben dies. Right, you just want him to move on. Same thing with Batman.
Right.
Okay,
How many times
I get
do I
it.
have to see the pearls? I get it.
Yeah,
It's
I get
sad.
it. So with this, they were just like, all right, we'll do a really interesting vignette. Kind of,
Mm-hmm.
it totally wraps it all up in a little bow, and it pays homage to the mother. It still keeps that same origin story, but you get kick-ass town that feared sundown Jason
Mhm.
the first time you see him, and he's done, and that credit comes up, that title card, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah. So I really liked the way Jason looked in this one.
Mhm.
I liked that the town that dreaded sundown Jason wasn't such a baghead.
Mm.
I put it that way. It was more tight. It was like wrapped
tight,
almost
yeah.
a little bit. That was cool that they made it like that. I liked that when he killed the sawmill country bumpkin guy, there was a reveal of the face that was kind of
Mhm.
like dimly lit. You could tell he was deformed, but it was well done.
Right.
And then immediately, hockey mask.
Right.
That was cool. I like how they did that.
But even before that, like, you just the way he carries himself, the way he looks, the way he moves, everything is just like a freight train.
He might be my favorite
Yeah.
Jason actor, whoever he is. He's good.
Ode to a Derek Mears.
I love me some Derek Mears.
Oh, I also want to talk more about Jason.
Okay.
I liked how they tied in how Jason was kind of like an expert at every camping activity,
Mm.
right? So he was, setting traps, which is not something that he did before.
Right.
Not that I can remember, really. He did a little bit of it.
Well, remember in part 2, he uses the rabbit trap to capture the pervy guy after the
Okay.
skinny
Right.
dip.
Okay. So, the trapping, the setting like the trip cord
Right.
connected to the bells so that he could know when someone's coming in the camp while he was down in his little lair.
Right.
Being really good at archery, you can see the targets.
He utilized the camp. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
While he
yeah,
was
yeah,
in dormant.
yeah. He has archery. He has knot tying,
Mm-hmm.
hatchet throwing. Like, these are all kind of camp activities that he's, I don't know, become an expert at.
My first note was survivalist Jason, prepper Jason.
Yep.
Is amazing Jason.
Yeah.
Like I it totally just added to that character. Because it's one thing to be a slasher and killing people, but to actually show a purpose, but like that's what I loved about Leatherface. There was like a purpose behind what he was doing. That wasn't just like an evil driving force or whatever. It was like he was doing it to please his family, and he was brought up that way. So that's how he behaved. This Jason seemed like he was basically left to be raised by wolves, and he developed all these. He probably had like
strategies.
Yeah, there's probably like Boy Scout type books and camper books that he probably had to reference and learn as he grew up. He learned how to do all these things, and it gave it such a different level that I could appreciate. I was just like, oh my God, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many little details that after talking to Derek Mears about it, like he gave us so many insights on that character that you just through his character study and all these different things that he did, it shows on the screen. Like you're just like, oh my God, somebody took it seriously. Someone wasn't just the guy in the mask. He gave it all these different things, which I love.
Well, and how long have we been waiting for them to pay off an archery kill? Because if you remember Friday 1, you're like, oh, shoot, there's an archery range. Ooh, they almost hit her they're going to do it. They're going to do an archery kill. And then you don't get anything until, what, part 3? You get the spear gun
the
kill.
harpoon kill.
So, I mean, this is a perfect example of how to reboot, right? You take a thing you wanted and never got. You mix it with the thing you got but didn't really satisfy. And then you combine it into something that makes sense in the context of your character. I mean, I know it's a reboot made by Michael Bay, but that's a hell of a class in how you do what he just did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he even told us down to the detail of there's a scene where he's carrying his axe or his machete, and he has, like, a holster for it. And in part 6, he's got, like, the belt, and he almost got, like, the utility Batman belt.
Mm-hmm.
But Derek explained that they sat down and they thought, okay, what does Jason have access to? So they figured out that a lot of his gear is made from leftover stuff at the camp. So his holster is made from a horse bridle, like the bit and bridle for riding horses. And when you look at it, it's completely formed to where it slides in, and he can do what he has to do, and he can do things with 2 hands. Like when he's chasing somebody, he doesn't have to worry about putting the knife down. Like he just kind of puts it away.
Right.
But it all makes sense. It's almost like Batman Begins, where everything's explained in real life. Like, oh, this could exist.
Yes.
So with Jason, it's like, oh, where did that axe come from? Like you guys were saying during 7. Why all of a sudden does he have a weed whacker with a saw blade on it?
Exactly.
Like, is there just like a shed in the woods that has all this stuff?
Yeah, he's like got an armory.
Right.
Well,
Where
and
did he get the gasoline for that?
Yeah, he's not like creating new tools with which to kill people either. He's
right.
like that circular saw / weed whacker / tree. I mean,
Right.
just come on, part 7.
Like, and they show him that, like, that scene when he's coming back to the house, and there's, like you said, you find out that he has Whitney downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's carrying one body on his shoulder, and he's carrying another something in his hand.
The
but
bag, I think.
Yeah, but you never see that in any of the movies. Like, it's always the reveal somewhere is a pile of
the
bodies.
bodies show up somewhere.
Yeah, this is him doing that. And then the whole scene where he's realizes somebody's there, and he kicks the lights on.
Yep.
And he's like knocking canoes over. Like, to me, it was just so many more added things to the character.
It's almost like if Jason was a Marine,
Right.
that had his home fortified in some way, but in like a Jason camper style.
Right. But he still has like that childish mentality.
Right. That's why it has to be a Jason camper style. Yeah.
Yeah, he's almost like an Eagle Scout.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm loving that. I like the Marine aspect too, but he would have been self-taught,
right?
Which makes it even better.
Right, kind of like a MacGyver, or using what's around you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little bit of MacGruber in there too, isn't there, guys?
MacGruber.
So speaking of cliches,
Hey.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey. I wrote down the characters are cliche. Like when you finally, not the opening credits people, but the basically the red shirts that are going to be picked off. They're cliche, but they're purposely done cliche. That's the way I looked at it. But like the what's his name, Lawrence?
Oh, you mean Green Day? I like Green Day.
Green Day. He brings attention a few times that he's the only black guy there, and he's like, "You think just because I'm black, I listen to rap?" And then she's like, "Well, no. What do you listen to?" He's like, "Rap." So it's like it's almost like cliche, but done in a smart way. They get picked off, and how it's going to happen. You know who's going to survive, but they kind of do it in a way where you kind of look at them as tropey, but they're almost like paying homage to the old school way. So I was fine with it being kind of corny. There's a lot of comic relief too. But the Dick character is a major dick.
Oh, Chad?
Yeah.
I mean,
Chad. I wanted him to die so early.
Oh, but wasn't it so much more rewarding to hear the scream?
Yes.
I mean, I almost referred to him as Jamie Lee because that's a hell of a scream, Trent. Hell of a scream. I think my favorite aspect of the new characters was how effortlessly they rolled Tommy Jarvis into Rob from Part 4 to create Scott Stapp, the moody motorcycle guy. Like, okay. I mean, his arms wide open with lots of posters of his sister who's gone. But it's that cool mix of like Rob, whose sister was gone in Part 4, with Tommy, who's so close to his sister Trish, and then Trish and Tommy survive Part 4. It's like you're taking the best elements of stuff that we've already used and just straining out all the extra and all the weird and the creepy and the masks and the
80s jargon, like all the stuff that was had to be in the 80s movies. They just they got rid of all that, and it streamlined everything. Definitely.
So Jason in this movie, we've already talked about how great Derek Mears is, great body language, great build, a little bit more, you would say sleek, I think, if I go back to our Halloween episode and talk about the Michael Myers body style.
Although he's big.
Well,
Mears
he's big.
Huge, but he's thin.
He's CJ Graham is what he is.
Yeah, he's like CJ Graham.
New CJ Graham, which is the Part 6, not the fat Part 6, the skinny Part 6.
Yeah, the skinny Part 6.
But in this movie, he's not just like a crazy prepper guy. He's also like tactical for the first time. I mean, not just his, we talked about his defense structure and his bell alarm system. But when he gets going, while Chad and OnlyFans get going, hey, and he shows up at the window and you think, oh, shoot, here we go. It's going to be the tent scene, right? But then he turns around, sees the tool shed, and like tactically figures out, hey, that guy's alone. So I'm going to go take care of that guy. These two are busy. I'll come back and get them later. Like, you never see a thoughtful Jason until this. He plays it, man.
With the whole bear traps and everything. Like,
he treats the whole thing like a level from like Splinter Cell or something. He's,
That's the perfect way to describe it. That's what I was trying to say when I said he was like a Marine. He's tactical. That's what I was trying to say.
It gives him a lot more depth.
Yeah.
Like, even with my favorite kill in the movie, which is the axe throw into Lawrence.
Okay.
That Lawrence is running to the house.
I remember.
And he does that double-handed axe throw.
Yep.
Even then, he's tactical because he could have gone up and just hacked him. But instead, he let him lay there and scream.
Right.
And it's like...
And they address that in the house. No, we can't go help him.
Yeah, it's like he's
trying to get us to come out.
Yeah, it's like in Full Metal Jacket when the sniper was picking people off.
Exactly.
They knew, I'm going to shoot this Marine in the legs. I'm going to keep shooting him, and he's going to scream, and that's going to draw more Marines out, and then I can pick more people off. And I didn't think of that word tactical, but that's exactly what it was.
Was that Full Metal Jacket or Saving Private Ryan?
Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, it made that kill all the more better. And then when he finally was done with them, and he's like, okay, they're not coming out, he just flips him over, throws him back on the axe.
Oh, God, that's so gross. And then he makes him into, like, blood soup in the hot tub. I don't know what political statement he's trying to make, but I'm with it. It's real gross. That scene's crazy too, because right after he does that, he turns into Batman for a little bit, which, I mean, I'm all about it. But they cut to him like standing on the roof in like this very like Batman pose. Yeah, looks like the animated series. You're just waiting for the lightning strike. And then in the next scene, he sneaks in through an open window, and it's literally Batman Begins for a minute. I'm fine with it. It's fun.
Commissioner Gordon.
I'll tell you what, that jump scare got me when he was first in the house, and she's, what'd you call her? OnlyFans. Is going behind the curtain, and her hand shaking, and she like looks behind the curtain, and then which is also like kind of almost like a throwback to a shower scene, but she throws the curtain over, and Jason's behind her, I was like, ha. Like, I did not expect that. That was good. I like that.
In this many movies, you can still get somebody with that.
Yep.
Well, in that scene, we need to put a little pin in that scene. Okay, so write a note to yourself on a piece of paper and stick it to your forehead for later. That scene encompasses a reference to Psycho with the shower scene.
Which, yeah, you just said that.
Halloween with the closet. Did you notice she at one point is up against one of those vented closet doors,
Yes.
just like in
Yeah.
Halloween?
Yes.
But then the big finale of the scene where she gets put up on the antlers.
He hangs her up like
On the antlers, yeah.
Texas.
No.
Well, no.
No.
Like the boyfriend, go get me a beer.
No.
No?
Guys. That is a direct reference to another movie, which you may be seeing in the next couple of weeks. So just keep the antler kill in your mind.
Antler kill.
Okay.
Okay,
Antler kill.
I saw it as a meat hook from Texas.
It's
is what I
very
saw
much.
it
There's
as.
a lot of chainsaw in this movie, and it's definitely similar to the meat hook, and it's definitely similar to Bob, the go get me a beer guy. Which,
Mhm.
by the way, there's a go get me a beer in this movie.
I know.
Yeah.
I noticed that too. I was like, go get me a beer.
And at one point they say, "Hey, I saw a guy carrying a body outside." Like, there's a lot of Halloween in this movie, but it's all like low key Halloween.
Mm.
But yeah, so keep a pin in your antler kill, and when it pops up in a movie in a few weeks and you see it, you have to buy me a big cup of
Buy him a beer.
no. Go get me a ginger beer.
Get me a beer.
Send me some cock and bowl.
Mail you a ginger beer. Got it. Next box.
Excellent.
All right. Another thing that I loved, because Dan knows my favorite kill is the sleeping bag kill.
I thought your favorite kill was Lawrence.
No, I'm saying of
I'm just
all the
I'm
old
just kidding.
the
You can
old
have-
movies.
You can have two favorite kills.
No,
That's fine.
the old movies. The sleeping bag kill
Oh,
is my favorite.
Yeah, the one where he's smacking her up against a tree.
Right.
If I can
Yeah.
jump
So-
in here for a second, fellas, listeners, the other night I had the extreme pleasure of hosting one Travis in the Friday the 13th game. And I had the head crush with the eye pop out thing all queued up and ready to go. And what did Travis do? He gifted
hid
me.
in a sleeping bag
He gifted me a ham-fisted attempt at hiding in a tent.
in a tent.
And I was given this beautiful opportunity to give him exactly what he didn't know he wanted, which was to have his own head smashed against a tree in a sleeping bag. It was like the stars aligned, listeners.
It was amazing.
It was awesome.
Anyway,
I could say I was killed by Jason
In a sleeping bag.
in a sleeping bag.
and wasn't I part 7, Jason? I think I did that just for you. So look at me, man. Fan service.
Look at you.
Fan service.
Foreshadowing.
Anyway,
Well,
Proceed.
so now kick it up a notch. The chestnuts roasting on an open fire kill. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that whole scene between the bear trap and the boyfriend watching her boiling. Like I was just like, holy shit. Again, tactical.
You were like, this is a different Jason.
Yes.
This is a sick Jason.
I remember this was my third time watching it. I remember the first time I watched it, I was literally in love with this movie because of the first hour. Like I was just like, oh my God, they've done everything I've always said they should have done. They're doing it.
Yeah.
And it exists now. It's in canon.
by the way, chestnuts might be the best nickname of all the. I should just throw away the rest of my list because that one,
Chestnuts.
chestnuts.
But yeah, it was an awesome kill.
It's a hell of a kill, man. It's gross,
kill.
and the smoke that she like breathes out when she hits the
Mhm.
ground is like it's just chef's kiss. Like that's so gross, but I love it.
I like that it was one of those kills where she wasn't quite dead.
Mm.
You know, she could have been thrown through a window at that point, and you'd be like, "Oh, there's the pretty much dead chick."
Good call, man. Good call. Actually,
Uh,
this movie
yeah.
is kind of chock full of updated versions of our favorite kills. Maybe one of the better throat slashes we've seen.
mhm.
Yeah.
Big fan. That dock kill, it's really interesting. I don't
Oh,
know that I
yeah.
love it.
Mm.
Well, it's gratuitous.
It's so gratuitous. Like it's a joke, right? It's a good joke. But it does remind me of the Jenny kill. Well, I guess it's not the Jenny kill. The Jenny attack in part 2 where you think Jason's out of the room and she thinks
Mhm.
Jason's out of the room, but really he's on the chair.
right.
Because that's like the first time you really get the, oh, he's gone. No, he's not. Oh, he's back. Oh, my God. Also, they kind of reference the same kind of deal, though, with when they're hiding under the cabin. And it's Scott Stapp and New Girl, you know, the
Yeah.
Bangs. The two of them are hiding
Bangs.
under the thing. And she goes to scream. And, like, I don't remember if he covers her mouth or she covers her mouth. But there's a lot of, like, Jenny stuck under the bed making a face and wincing, trying not to make noise. Very much a part 2 reference.
But it was cool to have Jason underneath the cabin, stabbing upwards. That was kind of cool.
Oh, that whole scene is insane with Muscle
I
Shelley.
love that.
Poor Muscle
Muscle
Shelley.
Shelley.
He's killing me. No, that's a good scene. And he does. He executes the way they wanted to with Rob, man. Way better.
Oh, yeah.
Way more desperate.
And then the stumble onto the Jason lair. Again, another homage to part 2.
Yeah.
And
but I
Batman
think-
Begins.
Did
And
you
Batman
notice
Begins.
that at the end, what's his name? The jerk. He drops his gun into the reference puddle.
Yes.
Did you notice that?
Well,
Dan?
I saw him drop a gun into a puddle.
It was
puddle.
it's got to be the reference puddle.
No, I'm pretty sure in this movie we have reference weed because they keep using that weed patch
Yeah,
as
that's true,
you're
yes.
centralizing. So I think that's really where our reference
But maybe
comes from
maybe
this
the
side.
puddle
No,
for
the
the gun
puddle-
was the kiss off to the old.
Exactly,
Now the weed
exactly.
is the new.
We're not using the puddle in this movie for
Right.
reference, but that was the reference puddle. from
Oh, okay.
Now, if the registration
Yeah.
for the gun was floating away in the puddle, then I'd say okay.
Yeah, that might be the part 6 puddle, not the reference
Yeah.
puddle. I mean, we've got a lot of puddles we need to cross-reference before we go making a final determination. But
That's true. That's true.
did you catch that the screwdriver kill, which is essentially
Which
like
is awesome.
an upgraded ice pick with a little bit more
Mm.
Tom Savini, circa Dawn of the Dead, is followed immediately by the freezer fake out, which is very much like the head in the fridge from part 2. Like this
Mhm.
movie, man, it is a high density, high protein snack, right?
There's a lot of fan service.
Oh my gosh,
a
I
lot of fan service.
was very well served by this movie,
Mhm.
guys.
But speaking of heads, like they do the same lair, stumble upon, they find the shrine, but it's subdued. It's like when I was watching, I was going, oh, okay. And she finds the head, and is it him or her that finds the head inside the wall?
I think
Mhm.
he
And I was
reaches in
He reaches in
because
and I
only
was-
only Muscle Shelley would be dumb enough to reach into the wall.
But I thought that was a cool way of doing it because, again, as a child, you hide things.
Mm-hmm.
You're not things that are important to you. You're putting in little boxes, and you're putting them in a wall or in the ceiling or whatever. You're not displaying them with candles, and you're not doing like a whole Mary shrine of your
Yeah.
mother. You're a 7-year-old, 6-year-old kid, so you're gonna hide your mother's head in the wall. And to me, I was like, that made so much more sense. Like, he's still sleeping in the bed that has his name on it. Like,
Yeah.
he's definitely a child. So the fact that they found the head in the wall, but it was still kind of a shrine in a way, but it was a Jason shrine, which I was fine with. It wasn't like this ridiculous layout. So,
Yeah, I was fine with that too.
God, and then
I actually I'm kind of a fan of the fact that they got rid of the, shrine to his mom almost completely. It was
yeah.
I don't think you'd keep your mom's head above your pile of bodies. I think those are two separate rooms in
Two
the
separate rooms.
in the shack. Very much a Texas Chainsaw Massacre situation going on. When the two, I guess it's Whitney, or as I was calling her, Hello Pam. Yeah, I was like, Travis, I think you're gonna need to say the Hello Pam because you're the funny guy.
Hello, Pam.
Hello.
Hello, nurse. Yeah, like a hello, Pam.
But yeah,
Yeah.
when Whitney and Muscle Shelley are sneaking through the house and all the horrible stuff's happening back at their camp, horrible stuff being angry video game nerd looking for the weed and the other two banging without the blessing of the Lord. Anyway,
even her silhouette was hot. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow. They definitely got some of the hottest
They did
people
a
to
good,
be
they
in
did
this
a good
movie.
job
Yeah.
on that scene.
There's not
Yeah.
really an ugly person in this movie.
if there's a Michael Bay signature in this movie, it is that everybody in this movie, with the exception of maybe Ethel
Derek.
2.0, is somewhat
Derek
hittable.
Mears.
Oh, well, there is someone
I'd
out
bang
there who's
Derek.
going to email me and be like, ooh, that Derek Mears Jason's hotter than Michael Myers. And I'm gonna,
that's
I
true.
still don't get it, guys.
Yeah. Even without makeup, he's all right.
I mean, I'm a couple of dozen emails in at this point, and I still don't get it, guys. Why is Michael Myers attractive? I think it's you, not him. That's what I'm saying. Holy moly. Anyway,
Holy mackerel.
do you think that they had to like pay James Rolfe like a stipend or something to not sue for using his likeness as the angry video game nerd guy? I mean, seriously, that guy, spitting image. And then they motor in, what's your price for flight? I like that part.
What?
At the beginning when he's singing Sister Christian while he's looking for weed out in the...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's motoring.
Gotcha.
What's your price for
Motoring.
flight? But anyway, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which, by the way, George, I don't know if you know this, but these same folks had remade about 5 years earlier, 8 years earlier, something. To success. I mean, that movie started the wave of remakes that this one kind of crests out. Like after this, it's kind of all downhill for remakes.
The
but
Jessica Biel version, right?
yeah, the Jessica Biel Texas Chainsaw Massacre up through
Definitely
this. It's like a high point for horror remakes.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that a Jessica Biel Texas Chainsaw Massacre existed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
man.
a remake of the original,
I
and it's
need to see
amazeballs.
that.
Pretty
Yeah,
sure we
you
talked
will.
about it in
Yeah.
detail during the
Yeah, you
Chainsaw
will.
episode, but that's
We were
all.
saying-
you know what? Yeah, we did.
We
I remember
said
talking
of,
about Jessica
of
Biel.
all the remakes, there's a few that are definitely watchable, and that's one of them.
That's one of them. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to see that.
Yeah.
But I do remember us talking about Jessica Biel. Anyway,
Yes.
forget it.
all right. There you go.
Yes.
There you go. But anyway, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre elements of them sneaking through this decrepit cabin, scary things around every corner. Not really something you see in a Jason movie, but it works. It's kind of a nice, it's like a graft, right? We just bring that in to fill time for these two characters while the other three are getting the long
Railing.
arm of the machete,
Mm-hmm.
And other things.
bear traps.
And other things.
So I have to say, and I know you felt the same way. You're thinking, okay, I saw the promotional stuff. There is a hockey mask at some point in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was not a fan. The only complaint of this movie was I was not a fan of how the mask was acquired and revealed. Like, I thought they spent all this time on other things that were so awesome. I would have liked to see more of a backstory as to how he gets that mask. Like, just to find it was just kind of
Well, let's talk about how he found his mask before. Remind me how that was. It was
he found it.
killed a kid.
Shelley
who was,
had it, right?
Yeah, Shelley was wearing the mask, and he was wearing the mask for what reason?
He was pretending to be the wooded killer and kept trying to scare people.
Okay, and
He
then
was trying to hook up with Catherine Parks.
Yeah.
Jason took him out, and Jason thought, I like that mask, and he took it for himself, basically.
Basically, yeah. I wanted something more because that has already been done.
I think you're underplaying the importance of that mask to part 3, though, George, because remember, it's not just a movie about Jason killing people. It's a movie about this nameless, ugly-faced woodsman reuniting with his lost love, Chris. And so what better way to surprise her to say, hey, baby, I'm back, than to hide your face with a hockey mask? Am I misreading part 3? I might be misreading part 3.
I'm sitting here going, wait, is this a Hallmark movie? What's he
Is this
talking about?
satire?
I mean,
Satire?
go back and think about it, though, man. I mean, think of that smile he gives her when he lifts the hockey
Yeah,
mask. We
like,
read
hey
it
now.
as a threatening smile, but what if he's just like, hey, baby,
How
I'm
you
back.
doing? Yeah, it was like a how you doing.
It's a nonverbal, how you doing?
I like it. And they did have that dream sequence where he met her in the woods and they hung out for a little bit.
And everything was wholesome and fine.
Nothing was forced.
In this cut, thank God.
I don't know. I don't know. I wish there was more of a backstory. It would have been cool to maybe our mannequin molesting friend maybe was playing hockey or something.
Old paper cuts.
Yeah, old paper cuts.
Ew.
Victor Zaz.
So, did you guys...
How about, hold on a sec, how about if when Paper Cuts tears his
Hood off.
episode 2 mask
Right.
or hood off, he rips it or he destroys it, and so out of necessity, Jason is like, I gotta cover my face with something.
Right. So he looks
And-
around the room.
And it's there. Yeah.
Like maybe give like a quick backstory that Paper Cuts, before he was a drunken fool molesting mannequins, was maybe a hockey star like a childhood played hockey and he had like.
I don't want paper cuts in this movie any more than he has.
Okay,
to
we don't need him, but you're there and he's a kill,
Yeah.
and that's where he picks the mask up. So at least explain why it's in the. Somehow explain
I
why
get
it's
it.
there.
You want more story behind the mask, but I'm kind of like, I get it, but originally
wasn't even ripped.
the mask, I get it, but like
Right.
originally, I get that you want more from the mask, but originally there wasn't much behind the mask to begin with, before like in part 3 anyway.
Okay, guys.
There never really was anything.
Listen, we're gonna throw hands. I just want to know why he had the sack in his hand, the sack he's been wearing forever. It was not ripped.
I love when you say sack.
All he had to do was put that sack back on.
It's true.
But something called him to that mask. Call it
It was shiny.
Call it luck.
Call it fate.
Karma. Call it fate. I don't know. I just want to know why he chose it.
Well, I mean,
I don't
guys,
know.
I guess did you not know that there is actually more backstory to the hockey mask in this movie? You have to watch the extra features.
Okay.
So it turns
No.
out that Jason's dad, right? We don't cover Jason's dad enough in these movies. Was actually a professional Canadian hockey player. Do you remember this? He was
there
a
you go.
defenseman.
Okay.
He never got to score goals. He was like a goon, right? That explains. I mean, that's like a Jason thing, right? He's a goon.
Yeah. He's a good
defenseman.
Headhunter.
That explains everything.
And I think he played for the Windsor Canucks, if I remember right. And his whole life story is really interesting. He's a defenseman his whole time. He's a goon. He's got head trauma. He's got all kinds of issues. It explains
Mhm.
a lot about the family life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then in his last game, he actually throws his body into harm's way. And it's debatable whether he actually walks away at the end. From the telling of the story I know. Does he die on the ice, having scored his one goal and knowing he scored? Or is he just knocked out and he knows that's the end of his career? It's hard to say, right? There's some interpretation. For more reference, actually, you guys ought to check this out. It's a song called Hit Somebody by Warren Zevon. Hell of a tune. Jason's dad.
I'm not leaving a word to say.
I just get along with it.
That was amazing and completely full of shit.
It's actually a real song about a hockey player. It's not Jason's dad, though. But I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know much about Elias Voorhees. Maybe he is just actually just
What'd you call him?
Elias?
Elias.
Voorhees?
That's what they list his name as in a couple of the movies.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That was great.
Thank you for coming with me on that monologue about Warren Zevon.
Amazingly bullshit. I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh my goodness.
You had me at hello.
That's actually David Letterman is on the recording of that song. You know, he's a huge Zevon guy. I mean, you guys know by now I got to talk about Zevon every week.
yeah.
Yes, of
And
course.
Absolutely.
Warren Zevon wouldn't be famous without the help he got from the David Letterman show. And so when he recorded that song about the hockey player, he had David Letterman record a line of dialogue and throw it in for the chorus.
That story would have been much better if you told it in like Cliff Clavin's voice.
Well, that's what you're here for, Travis. I don't do
That would have
impressions.
been awesome. Like, yeah, it turns out that Jason's dad was a hockey player. And what happened? He had trauma.
Lots of head trauma. He's a goon.
Lots of
Lots
head
of head
trauma.
trauma.
Yeah, I don't do a Ratzenberger voice, but yeah, Cliff Clavin, good shit.
Yeah, next time you guys are at the record store and looking to buy a CD or maybe even a vinyl,
Nice.
check out My Rides Here by Warren Zevon. One of the later. Don't check it out first. Like, make sure you get the first 4 or 5 first. Get Life Will Kill Ya, The Wind. But once you've got a feel for what Warren really was, then you get My Rides Here, which is a little bit more out there, but some real good stuff. I mean, McGillicuddy's Reeks, guys. I mean, come on.
I'll have to plug that into one of those listening booths. The old vinyl.
Oh my God, the listening booths. Best way to sell a CD to an old person. Make them
Absolutely.
stand in a Barnes & Noble and listen to it on a headphone.
Nostalgia. Nostalgia.
The last time I can think of anyone referencing a listening station, oh my God, guys, it was the year 2000. I was a freshman in high school.
Right?
Mr. Yu, teaching history, heard 5 for Fighting. I was like, man, it's a pretty sweet CD. Every song's pretty good. And he bought it. And then he came into class the next day and told us all how he'd bought 5 for Fighting on CD because of the listening booth at the Barnes & Noble.
See, I remember it from Empire Records. Like they were selling CDs there, and they still had the listening booths with the unsanitary headphones.
Ooh, yeah, the COVID headphones. No, thank you.
The COVID headphones. COVID headphones.
To be fair, if you catch COVID from the headphones, I think you're wearing them wrong.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, wearing them right. I don't want to judge.
So speaking of Camerawork.
I was talking about Camerawork.
Watch out, man. I think the battery's dying on your Segway. It just crashed.
we were just talking about thin walls.
Yeah, I know. Thin walls.
Those Pasadena
These
thin walls.
Pasadena walls. Pasadena listening booths.
If you're listening, we're all listening if it's a Pasadena listening booth.
There's the paper thin. Oh, man.
Got to figure out how to work in lobby cards.
Oh, shoot.
I wonder if Jason had any maps in that bag he was carrying.
Probably.
Oh, you know, he's all about orienteering.
Shit. I was kind of hoping that there was a map on the bag of the missing person picture. Like, pull a map out. Make us all happy.
Well, if you play the game, every level kind of has like a station. You know how like when you're at a park and you go and there's a map and it says you're here.
Yeah.
Like if you find that on the map that you're playing on, then you have like a radar of where everyone else is, but if you run into that, you can pick up a map and then you have a map.
You have a map.
It's awesome.
Can you sing?
Sure.
Awesome.
It's a free country. Even in the game, it's a free country. You can sing.
And if you have a
want.
walkie-talkie, in the game, everyone can hear you singing.
Okay. But then
everyone who has a walkie-talkie.
But then Jason can hear you singing as well. So that's not good.
No, I don't think he can.
Only if he's near you.
Okay.
He always gets stuck with the proximity hearing, which is hilarious when you play with dumb people. I mean, yeah, dumb people who run around talking the whole time, and then you'll invariably hear them say, "Why does he always find me first?" It's like I've got an idea.
That's fine.
So speaking of Camerawork, there's just no segue to it. This movie was full of it. Just full of amazing camera work. Like every scene was just like...
I mean, speaking of OnlyFans, let's talk about not her camera work, but instead Daniel Pearl's camera work.
I love the when he kills the cop outside the door, and he drives the poker through the back of his head, or the front of his head.
Yeah,
front of his head through the eye. But the way he does it, like right when he drives it through, it's like a half wall, so the camera goes inside the house. Mm-hmm. So you see that whole thing happen. Mm-hmm. I was like, I've never seen that done before. It was pretty... I'm sure it's probably in a giallo somewhere, but...
It's good.
I mean, it's got a little bit of Argento in it.
Okay.
But have you guys ever seen Opera? I'm kidding. You haven't seen Opera. You should see Opera sometime. It's got the best through-the-door kill maybe ever.
Okay.
But it's not like this. But it's kind of like
that camera
this.
follow, I just love that camera follow. And I've never seen that in like any, not even The Shining, like something that would have benefited from that, a movie like that. I've never seen that used before.
Do you know what movie has that kind of move like right up front? Bad Boys 2. So it's a Michael Bay thing.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's kind of a besides having everybody super hot in this movie, except for Ethel 2.0. Sorry, Ethel. Other than her, everybody in this movie smoking hot. Well, okay, and convenience store guy, the I don't make the rules guy. He was not hot. Sorry.
Since you bring that up, was there any? Because I know he was huge on the rotating dolly shot, like almost every movie.
The rotating dolly shot.
Like dolly shot.
The Salvador Dali on a rotating platter.
No, not Dolly. Dolly. You know, where the camera goes around Will Smith
and it has a funny mustache.
Yeah. Did they do that in this movie? Because that would have been awesome to show Jason with that 360.
No, that would have been
Spin.
amazing, but no, they
That
didn't.
would have been.
Keep in
They
mind,
didn't
it's
do
not a
that.
Michael Bay directed effort; it's a production.
Yeah.
So it's got
Missed
touches,
opportunity.
but the Marcus Nispel thing, he's not about the dolly spin.
Okay, good.
It's a missed opportunity.
But they got to do that in one of those movies.
I'm surprised we haven't had a full-on
Figure that out.
action movie Jason movie yet. You know, like with a big car chase and explosions and like lettuce flying, like in the 80s. Like at
Yeah.
some point, you thought they would have gotten to that point. They never did. It's a shame. Missed opportunity, like you were saying.
How
I mean,
about they
There was
they do a mix of like the what's the Vin Diesel car movies?
Oh, the Fast and the Furious.
Fast and the Furious. Yeah, Friday 13th. Fast and the Furious. That's a good mix.
I mean, you almost had something like that, I guess, with the high velocity boat stuff. I mean, that was shot kind of like a
That's
Michael
true,
Bay
yeah.
action movie when you got CrossFit Eric Idle driving.
That Hansel-looking motherfucker.
With the shirt that said F Christmas, and I was like, oh, it's
Yeah.
Melania driving the boat. I don't know if that reference is going to age well, but that is timely for right now. With Lindsey Vonn, aquatic Lindsey Vonn on the back, like, splash. Like, I love I don't care for I mean, it's gratuity for gratuity's sake, which, whatever. Not my thing.
Topless water skiing.
12-year-old me would have been like, woo, but now I'm just like, gratuity. Tip your waitress. Anyway, different kind of gratuity, I guess. I don't know.
18% of those boobs.
That is one of those. That's a very gracious tip you're
Yeah.
giving there. That's the first time Travis has ever heard that. Ba-doom, boom,
Well, it was a well placed tip.
no, it wasn't.
Tip placement. Perfect tip placement.
Right in the taint. Who would have thought we'd have a taint callback on this show?
Wow.
Anyway, that
I
is
think if we had only seen 18%, it would have been less gratuitous.
she might have made it to
Word.
the end of the movie
Maybe.
or near it, like poor new girl.
That scene does show one thing, that Jason's pretty damn accurate.
Well, and that's the
I
thing.
mean,
That
a
scene
moving
starts
target?
off like garbage, and for him to hit that shot with the arrow is a little ridiculous, but kind of amazing, right?
mhm.
Like, who knows how many times he missed and we just didn't notice, but he nails that guy real good. I mean, you're not going to hear
fourth
like
shot.
the crack of the bullet, right? I mean, he could have put two or
No.
three
hear
out
that
there.
once in a while.
It's
Although
it's a
there are
loud
guys
boat.
that are that good with a recurve bow.
Mm.
I just
like-
I worry about with the one eye situation or the offset eye. Like, does that add to his depth perception and thus his accuracy, or would it actually make it harder? We might be getting too technical. I'll call an
He doesn't have to
optometrist,
close an eye to shoot.
find out. Well, you shouldn't close an eye to be shooting, Travis. I mean, there's your problem.
Well,
From the
some
outline.
people, when they aim, they look in the scope.
Yeah.
We don't know if they're,
But,
you know.
yeah, I don't know. There's no
I don't
scope
know.
on a bow. At least
We
that
don't
kind
know
of,
that.
Not
We
on
didn't.
that
Did
kind
we
of
see the bow?
Yeah,
Did he have a scope on it?
it showed the bow. It's like a straight up like composite bow.
Okay.
Like,
All right, you're gonna have to Photoshop the bow with a scope on it.
he's got like a red dot sight on his.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Two
Follow
different
the
ones.
red dot.
Like a red,
Boom.
yeah,
a laser.
Yabang. He's got a Yabang
Yabang.
scope right on the thing. But no, that scene saves itself from the silly gratuity and the, oh my God, we're in the water and we all look so hot and we're driving and we're so hot, because of the part where she thinks that he's still driving the boat and she's just like, hey, slow down. Hey, I'm right. Hey,
Yeah.
boom. Right?
Yep.
Like that's a hell of a scene. Then it goes back to gratuityville, but I'll take she doesn't realize he's not driving the boat head smash. That's pretty good.
Mm.
Meh.
Now, I don't usually like to do trivia that we could all just look up on our own, but I know George doesn't know this. Did you know there was another way that they scripted that scene originally, George? Of course you didn't.
Of course not.
Can I tell you how they did it?
Sure, please.
So she gets bashed in the head. She's
Okay.
all like, concussed.
Uh-huh.
She's treading water, and she sees him on the beach, or like on the
which is
on the shore
an amazing shot
with
by
the
way.
machete. Okay, now imagine if that's like the end for her, right? She sees him, she can't get away, and she treads water till she gets fatigued and drowns.
Mm.
Yeah,
I like that better.
I do too. but they didn't use it. I don't even remember if they shot it or if it was just scripted that way, but they needed to get the boob gag it's a gag, right? It makes people laugh, and there are boobs. So is Michael Bay going to pass on that opportunity? I mean, obviously not, but
I would have traded up the boob shot for that.
Yeah, I would have to.
Because that just would Jason be standing there watching her drown?
yeah, that's the whole thing. He stays there and just watches her drown.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big fan.
I mean, if he had a second arrow, he could have just... But I guess that's... Okay, so here's the thing. Is that a Jason kill, though? Like, he's not really one for drawn out, like, torture.
This is a different Jason.
You know, if he drew another arrow and, like, shot her in the face, okay. Yeah.
But he might need that arrow. He's tactical now.
But I don't know that... I don't know if it fits the characterization of Jason to watch somebody drown for, like, an extended amount of time. Because if you notice, there's a cut from, like, day to night after that kill. Because it was going to be, like, a long progression of him. Like, as the sun sets, she dies. Which is cool, but is that Jason? Like, maybe this is a better kill in the end.
Would have been cooler is because it is a different Jason, that would have been sweet to almost watch him relax and watch her die. And, like, not stand there like Jason stoic. Like, actually relax and watch her die.
I don't know if that's Jason, though, man.
I know, but it would have been cool to give him a little bit of depth.
I don't know if that's...
I like the fact that he could be that almost into the each kill to where it's almost like he kind of revels in it a little bit.
Yeah, but that doesn't really fit with him carrying the bodies and stacking them in his storage shelter. Like, he looks irritated the entire time he's doing that, which is kind of the way you want it, right? Like, this guy's not malicious. He just wants you to get off his property and stay away from his bat cave. And so, of course, he's like, oh, these stupid kids are here again. Let me pile up their dead bodies in my cellar.
Like I did last time.
Gotta go pick up the canoes again. Like,
good thing this one looks like my mom.
Jeez Louise. Now, speaking of Psycho references and, oddly placed mother love, George, do you notice when you're watching this movie that this is like doing a different thing than the original Jason movies in terms of like compression of storyline and body count to like a new tier? Do you know what I'm talking about, man?
Not
So think back to
really?
Psycho, right?
Yeah.
The initiator of this kind of, the progenitor of your slasher movies. You get what, like 4 kills in the movie?
Yeah.
And a lot of characterization.
Mm-hmm.
Then you move forward 10 years and you got Bay of Blood and you got a lot more kills, but you still got a lot of characterization and plot and flashbacks and transporting and different settings and all this. Just like, have you watched that movie yet all the way through?
No.
It's a chore. It's good. It's worth it. But it could be better. Who made it better? Cunningham, Carpenter, Craven, right? Like the 80s and the late 70s, Halloween, Friday, Nightmare. They've taken what Bay of Blood did with Psycho and amped it up again. And now it's an American consumer product. 8 kids, all dead, Survivor Girl, credits.
Right.
And this movie manages to take essentially 2.5 of those and cram them into almost the exact same time frame. Like, Michael Bay is doing the work that Cunningham and Carpenter did 20 years, 30 years earlier all over again, man. He's changing it up, amping it up, making it more consumer-driven. If by consumer, I mean, Jason consuming bodies with machetes.
So what you're saying is there's more kills in this movie?
There's like 2
Like
movies
a
worth
lot
of
more?
kills, dude.
I believe the body count is 14, including Mrs. Voorhees. 14 people, because they purposely had 13 victims in this movie.
Oh.
And then Mrs. Voorhees was number 14.
Which is kind of what they promised with the first Friday the 13th, but they never got to 13 until later in the series. If you've ever seen the trailer for the first Friday.
I didn't even notice that. Like, I didn't notice that there was lots more kills. I guess because I thought that the first batch of campers, they all went out really quick.
High efficiency killing, man.
Yeah, it was high efficiency, and that was kind of just setting up the rest of the movie. And then the second, batch of kids, they really weren't campers. They were more like the episode whatever kids that were just like on vacation in a house, going out to the van to have sex or whatever. That they were more like those kids.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much, instead of camp counselors in part 2, you get campers. And then instead of the kids who show up at the vacation homes in 3 and 4, you get the kids who show up at the hunting lodge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But by compressing all the kills from 2 into the first 20 minutes or whatever, and then by compressing the entire movie of 3 into the rest of the movie, you still leave time in the middle for the character development that you need to have the nice comments up front that we made about the acting and the character development.
Right.
But still managing to get as many kills as they did.
Well, they also kind of take advantage of the viewer by showing Whitney's group. And it's like, okay, this is the group. This is going to be the group that gets picked off.
Right.
And you kind of watch them get developed slightly. But you still think this is going to be the whole movie group, and it's not.
Yeah, and in 10 minutes you're like...
10 minutes they're all
okay.
gone.
Yeah.
And then you get a new group. So that was very well done, because that whole first group was... I was already thinking that they were going to be the whole movie group.
They're kind of like the hitchhiker.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, you even think Whitney gets killed. So you're like sitting there going, oh my God, 8 minutes, and they've just bumped off, 5 people, 4 people?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the new group, and then you're like, oh, okay. So then, before you know it, you're at almost 20 people at the end of this movie. 14 people, that's not bad. It's a good count.
It's a good count for a movie that also manages to somehow develop enough characters that you either care about the fact that someone is surviving, or you're happy to see Trent get killed in the most embarrassing ways possible.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get that
Who
kind of
dies on a
attachment.
tow truck?
Oh my God. Well, it's not a tow truck. It's like a hay baler.
Yeah.
We see those.
That's the other non-attractive person in this movie.
Who's that?
The driver of the truck.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't hit that. That's for sure.
That was the only other non-attractive.
So there's 3
character.
non-attractive people in this movie. Well, 4. I'm not counting Paper Cuts. He's gross.
Yeah.
There's a reason he's alone with his magazine and his mannequin. That scene with the mannequin makes me want to break the disc in half. And it's not just the crappy, lazy writing, but his performances. Ugh. I mean, I guess we got a paper cut on your tongue. It's hard to talk real good.
He is kind of vile.
I do love the new Ethel, though. I mean, they don't call her that, but you know who that is. That old lady who's like, people they come from the outside and they get killed, and we love it when they get killed. It's like, damn, that lady likes people getting killed. I'm going to stay away from her.
They're missing. You ain't finding them. Like, she already knew. She knew everything.
I know what they're doing out there, Sheriff. God, how far we've come from part 5. You know?
Mm.
It is funny that they hit so many different locations from 3. I mean, you've got the hunting lodge, obviously. But to hit the convenience store, it's so good,
The
man.
barn.
Oh, and the barn. Oh, the barn. And that wood chipper from 5, like, finally getting involved. Like, hello, Pam.
And then the ending was it 6, I guess? The water burial of Jason. Like they do. They hit all points.
Well, and when they're going to gas up the boat that they're not supposed to be driving, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, what do you think? One of the gas cans is the old style part 3 from the barn gas can.
Right.
That was a cool little thing. That made me happy. Fan service. I mean, really, this movie was made just for me.
I wasn't expecting to like it.
While we were talking about the awesome production values and camera work, I did have one issue, guys. Did you catch the continuity issue with the shoot the boot?
No.
He's holding it by the toe, offering it around. Here you go to drink out of this shoe. And then it cuts right to him drinking out of the shoe, and the shoe is flipped around. Like, what? Dudes, we're looking at the shoe. And
who gets fired
what?
for that?
Shoot the boot, man. Shoot the boot. Anyway.
Can we talk about the end?
Yeah, let's talk about
we
the
should
end.
talk
very,
about
very
the
end.
Like, how very end are we talking? Like,
the very, very end.
Like the middle of the credits when the song switches to the B song?
No.
The part where I eject the disc and I hold it up over my head and go, thank you, Marcus Nispel.
Right before that.
What, the jump scare?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess you have to have the jump scare at the end because it's a Jason movie.
Yeah.
However, if I were the director,
And you weren't.
I would leave it out.
What?
I would leave Jason dead.
He is dead. It's a dream, man.
Well, I mean, I'd just get rid of it.
I mean, you've seen part 3. You know what's up. That was one wormy lady jumping out. Before we talk about too in depth whether or not that ending is a dream or not, can I just run down my list of all the references they did in the final sequence?
Yes.
Sure.
Holy moly, guys. You get the wood chipper and the barn from part 5. You get the distract Jason with his mom identity from part 2. You get the chain and like the horrible scraping against his head from part 6. You get hanging from part 3. You get the Jason goes to hell stab in the chest. You get the part 6 and part 7 water burial. You even get the awesome image from Jason X, one of the few, with the mask at the bottom of the lake.
At the bottom of the lake, yeah.
And at that point, you get what I think might have been the first, although maybe I just don't even hear him anymore because the movie, that you get the ch-ch-ch.
Yeah, because that wasn't in there at all.
But at the end of the movie, you see that mask at the bottom and you get it. And then you get a jump scare that equally combines parts 2 and 3.
Yep.
Holy mackerel, guys.
And part 7, too.
And a little bit of 7 because of the doc thing.
The doc and the dad.
I mean, dudes.
Yeah.
Dudes, that is... And that's like a 3-minute sequence. Fan service.
Fantastic. So you think that was a dream at the end there? Because I kind of agree with George where it seemed forced, but I understand why they did it. But I think they should have ended that with the jump scare that they did, but then have her wake up or something. That way there's still closure, but you're still paying homage to the old endings.
I think my favorite ending out of all of the movies was 3.
3, yeah, because he's laying in the barn and he's dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if this movie ended that way, it would be a perfect movie.
I agree.
I don't know. I think my favorite ending is probably...
Scooby-Doo ending?
It might be 7. 7 gives me the right amount of resolution while still leaving it open for an eventual sequel.
But it involves the undead Jason, which George does not like.
But, I mean, you go to
When
part
his eye
2...
pops
Well,
open.
I don't have to like it, but...
Yeah.
I mean, you go to part 2, where's Paul? I don't know. You go to part 1, Jason, it's a dream, isn't it? Probably, maybe. Was it a dream? Like, there's no resolution. I like having a little bit more resolution. And I think what this movie could have used would be the after jump scare closure that we normally get.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a Where's Paul would be more closure than what this movie gave us. So that might be, if anything, that might be the one misstep, that they didn't really follow the playbook of any of the others. Because if they end in a jump scare, you usually get a post-jump scare scene. And this one, it feels like the jump scare is just for the audience, not actually for the characters in the movie.
Right. Makes sense.
One other complaint I have, and I have very few. I mean, we're raw recording time, an hour and a half into this thing. And I have had no complaints that I can think of offhand, except for paper cuts. Ugh. Anyway, aside from paper cuts, my main complaint with this movie, and maybe you can see it better in this killer cut than the theatrical. If you're going to give me a wood chipper, I want a
Jason through
I want a motherfucker
somebody
going through that wood chipper. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's him, if it's her, if it's Scott Stapp, you know.
Yep.
His own prison could be the other side of a wood chipper. I'm fine with it. Somebody's got to go through the wood chipper.
Yeah, I agree.
But I kind of get the impression from the extended cut that, like, the back of the head might be in there a little bit, but then when he's on the dock, his head looks pretty intact.
Yeah. Yeah, watching that hockey mask go through the wood chipper would have been closure, and it would have been perfect.
Even if instead of stabbing him, like, go to hell, stabbing him in the abdomen, decapitating him,
Right.
and just his head goes through, that would have been good.
Just the top of his head, like a part 4 kind of thing?
No, like decapitate him.
No, but
like,
how cool would
just-
that be? Just like skull cap him. Like half the head goes through,
Yeah.
the rest of the head's still on the body. That'd be gross.
See, I think the problem is, even though they made a perfect movie, the suits get in the way and say you got to leave it open.
Right.
So even if the director wanted to kill him, I'm sure somebody said, yeah, we can't do that.
I really think that the way to have ended this would have been the part 3 ending. Hatchet.
Just show him dead.
Hatchet in the side of the head, top side of the head, so that you get the nice big gash in the mask, which is the way Jason
Iconic,
looks.
right?
Yep. And also, like I said, this Jason is not an immortal Jason. This is
Right.
not a resurrecting Jason. This is Jason before we had all that shenanigans.
Right.
So he's killable. Kill him.
I think what Dan's saying, like, put the head through the chipper to the point where the head goes completely in, the arms are still going, then they just flop.
Oh man, if he
And
did the part
dead.
3, isn't it part 3 where he does the reach out after he gets hit in the
Yeah.
head? Only his head's in a wood chipper and his arms are down, and then they reach for
Yeah, just one last ditched effort.
for Hello Pam.
Mm.
Just Hello Pam.
Yeah.
Hello Pam.
Hello, Pam.
But anyway, yeah. So the arms, my head's in a wood chipper. Oh my head, reach out.
Yep.
Would
Reach
be
out. and then
Awesome. They should
flop.
hire us for this movie, man. Okay, one other complaint I just thought of. So I don't like paper cuts. Cut him out of the movie. Paper cuts him out of the movie. That's what I say.
Peace.
I don't like the ending because I want more resolution. And then there's one last complaint. George, I have terrible news. They never did a sequel to this.
Mm-mm.
Like, it's been 11 years, and it's still tied up in the courts as to whether we're going to get a Jason movie again. Like, this movie was perfect. Derek Mears was wonderful.
Mhm.
Give me more Derek Mears.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know. I kind of feel like this is it. This is perfect. Just leave it. I really thought that after I don't know. I don't know where exactly I draw the line. 3, 4 or so. The rest of the series up to X or whatever just got like I said, it was just shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
It was just them writing different things to see how can we keep
Just
Jason
keep it alive.
going.
Keep the rights going.
Yeah, it was shenanigans. I think this was the what I liked best about Jason in the form that I liked best, which was 1 and 2 and 3, mortal Jason, killable, still impressive and tactical even, which was new. But yeah, this is everything that I like. This is the best of Jason.
What if they had just ended it with an inconclusive and retreating tactical Jason, and like a Texas Chainsaw style, drive up escape for the 2 brother sister?
And leave Jason standing.
Because I kind of want my Jason
More.
movie to give me more. Like, if you give me one good Jason movie, I expect more Jason movies because you've
Right.
shown me you can do it. Let's keep pumping that well until
To leave Jason alive is also acceptable if they escape.
I think since they were doing so many homages at the end, I really would have been all for a Leatherface homage, where basically they escape by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Now he doesn't have to be sitting there waving a chainsaw, but that dance is so iconic at the sunrise
Mm-hmm.
that
guys,
they could have done something like
Come
that.
with me on this journey, okay? It's an external shot. It's almost sunrise. You're starting to see the faint hint of sun on the horizon. Scott Stapp, bleeding but still alive, and Hello Pam are running desperately on their last bits of desperate effort away from this Jason, right? And he's still got the upper hand. It's still on his court. They manage to hop on to the back of a passing car without the car knowing it, and you get like just the beginning of the Chris freak out from part 3, right? Which is itself similar to the freak out at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? You don't get the whole thing because you don't want to see it. But you see like her face start to contort into like a celebratory freak out, right? She's alive. She knows it. Relief is coming, but they cut so you don't have to look at it. And they cut to Jason. Now from behind, he sees the truck or the car driving away. You see the sun starting to come up in front of his face, so he's between you and the sun, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then the music gets really tense and dramatic, and it's got that weird 2009 like thing that the music had in this movie, which I don't love. That's going to date it a little more than anything else in this movie, I think. That and the handy cam, that's really going to date it. But anyway, it's kind of a reference to part 8, right? The guy with the handy cam. Now she's got a handy cam, but that guy in part 8 doesn't fuck. Anyway. So back to my dramatic scene.
Yeah.
Everything is getting really tense. And right before you go to credits, Jason busts into the Crispin Glover dance. That's how you end that fucking movie.
I can win that better. I like all that until, since they've established that he's tactical and he almost thinks 4 or 5 steps ahead. You think they escape. They get in that car. They drive away from Jason, and there's something in the road that stops them from going.
Oh, like
and
the tree log from part 2 just like falls in front of them?
Tree log, something triggered, something that shows that he created a trap.
Yeah.
And it stops that car from going, and then as they're trying to get the car around whatever the obstacle is, you can see Jason running towards the car, gaining on them, getting closer and closer and closer. And right when just like they did with the Whitney character, just when he gets to that car to just basically mutilate all of them, you go to credits.
I think in the words of the immortal Trent from this movie, I think after hearing that, I've got about 8 seconds. No, really, that's a hell of an ending. Like, yeah.
I think it would have been
awesome.
imagine because that leaves it open.
I mean, he's already done tripwires for the bells. He's done the bear trap. So is it too much of a stretch to think he's got a claymore set up? And they drive across and you hear the bam of the claymore, and then that tree falls in. Yeah.
Or even like parking garage spikes or something.
Oh, yeah, the tiger teeth. Yeah.
Yeah. Just something that gives them a flat, something that,
I mean, guys,
triggered something.
Have you ever seen the episode of X-Files, Darkness Falls? Are you familiar with that episode?
No.
Season 1. It's like episode 5. It's pretty early on. And they go to Oregon because there's a dispute between... This is a real story from the show. So it's a fake story from the show that's real. It's on Hulu. Check it out. A dispute between the Forest Service, a logging company, and eco-terrorists.
Okay.
So the FBI sends Mulder and Scully to investigate why 100 years after a disappearance, another crew has disappeared entirely. And the Forest Service sends a guy, and the logging company sends a guy because the logging company thinks it's the terrorists. The Forest Service agrees with the ideals of the terrorist organization, but not their methods. So they all go out together into the woods, and stuff goes sideways, guys. It's real good. Anyway, there's a lot of caltrops that the terrorist guys use to blow up the tires of the logging crew. So it would not be a far stretch for a prepper Jason to just have some of those available, just some pokey things to throw in the road.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep.
That's a way better ending than they did in this movie. Damn it, now we have a better ending. Give me another Jason
There's lots of
movie.
ways. There's lots of ways.
And you
this
could
could
still have your
better,
Crispin Glover dance at the end.
I love
if you
the
want,
idea of
but-
Jason doing the Crispin Glover dance, like maybe during the credits as like a gag reel. Just give me a little bit of Jason doing the Crispin.
I think Derek will be for that. He's a bit of a goofball.
That would be amazing. I'm going to add him at the end of this episode and ask him for that.
Can I just tell you how awesome he is? Like, I remember when he first got cast. I don't know what he was doing at the Monster Mania. I don't know if he was in The Hills Have Eyes or something. He was in a remake before this came out. And he was so down to earth and just like talking to everybody, and it was just coming out that he was playing Jason, and to hear him talk about playing it made us all excited because he was us. Like he was a fan. And he had all the time in the world to talk to everybody. And he's just talking to, just shooting the shit, and he's just saying how much of a fan he is of this character and this and that, and it just made me excited to know that somebody like me is going to get to play this part. And it came out, like when I saw him again after the movie came out, it was the first thing I said to him. I was like, it totally came through. Like you're wearing a mask the whole movie, but your love of the character completely came through. And he was so like gracious and like happy that anybody even gave a shit.
Yeah. That
like, and if you ever see him in an interview or you hear him talk about playing Swamp Thing now and all that stuff, like he is such a geek. Even though he's like a 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah.
But he's the nicest guy, and he's just he's so into playing these characters, and I was just like, wow. I wish he was playing 5 more Jasons.
Yeah.
And the fact that they basically killed him off and then the courts killed him off. You're never going to get that.
I mean,
because it's been 10 years?
The guy was born in 1972. Like he's still. I mean, some of those Jasons were old. You know, Ted White was no spring chicken, and he's one of the better Jasons. So you might still get a little
It's
Derek
true.
Mears in there.
Yeah, they need to make as many. He's like, I said to him one time, I was like, you're the Robert Downey Jr. of Jasons. Like, we want to see like 30 movies of you playing Jason.
Well, that would be amazing. The Jason.
And he's like, yeah, I want to do it 30 times. Like, he was very excited about it.
Yeah.
So hopefully it happens. But in the end, he's an amazing Swamp Thing as well. So, and he's a good actor too. So, you know, he has lines and stuff. So he's not just a stunt man in a mask, which is cool. Yeah, I could gush over him forever. Great guy.
You know, Travis, it sounds to me like Derek Mears might be your favorite part of this movie.
Yeah.
Can I tell you who my MVP of this movie is? George knows. You want to take a guess, George? Who's my MVP of this movie?
OnlyFans?
I don't know, man. She doesn't have the perfect pupil placement of Fay Ray, but
That's true.
that's a callback to a joke that wasn't on this show.
But we all got it.
It was a good one for Travis. No, MVP of this movie, guys, and I mean this all my heart. It was when I noticed it today. I hadn't noticed it before, but when I noticed it today, guys, I had to pause the movie, write down my note about it, and then I just sat there for a second, like basking in the glory of the fan service that this movie provided me, and not you guys, and not anybody else out there probably, but Dan, Remedial Dan. Heart was Grinch levels of too full. Like I was breaking the frame. Guys, I didn't know I needed it. Friday the 13th, 2009 brings you the return of the judgy Buck from part 2. He's there and he's judgy as ever. That judgy bastard Buck.
Yeah, he is.
I'm thinking about making him my profile picture. He's got the perfect expression, just like,
Judgy Buck.
Judgy Buck, man. He was there in part 2 saying, why you leering at that girl? And in this one, he's like, why you leering at that girl? He's got kind of a thing. I'll give him that. He's a one-note performance, but I was so happy to see Judgy Buck back.
I don't know if he's better than Derek Mears, but we'll take it.
I mean, Derek Mears is a better actor.
I don't know if he's better than OnlyFans, but whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Judgy Buck.
I
Good
don't
stuff.
know. I don't know, George, that there's anything else we could possibly talk about that we haven't already talked about during your fall break. And now, I think we might have actually closed the book on Friday the 13th for a minute. What do you think?
Nah.
Kind of.
For now.
Is
We
this
could always watch them again.
is this the definitive look at Friday the 13th ever recorded by humankind? I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not. Actually, if you guys haven't read Crystal Lake Memories book, holy moly. Like, There's a lot of insight into everything in that book. You need to read it. It's worth it.
I'd like to see maybe a Zack Snyder type release of this movie with maybe some reshoots of the first of Pam and Alice, maybe like added footage. I'd like to see a little bit of interaction
And an alternate ending.
and
Four
the
different
alternate ending,
Four
yes.
alternate endings.
including the Scooby-Doo ending.
All of them.
I'm telling you, man, I think that, I don't know if we hit this hard enough earlier, but calling this movie Friday the 13th is kind of ballsy because of the original Friday the 13th and it, the difference between this one and that one. But this one so well encompasses the series Friday the 13th that I think if you did any more than just make it like, a pre-intro for part one, I think you're doing it a disservice because part one is so much different than the rest of the series, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this encompasses the series, not the first movie. Now, if you remade the first movie, I mean, good luck, You'd have to Rob Zombie it or something.
Well, I remember you telling a story that actually would be pretty interesting.
Shh, I cut that out.
All that stuff, yeah, we did cut that out.
I cut that out. I was like, motherfucker's going to steal my story.
That would be good.
You mean you don't want to see more rifle deck in the beginning of this one, Dan?
Did you like the picture of the rifle dick I sent you guys?
Yeah, it was great.
It's a good.
Fantastic.
That was one of my better screen grabs. I was
I'm
pretty
thinking
pleased
about
with
making
that.
it my profile pic.
I thought about putting it on our group just to be like, hey guys, rifle dick, but I didn't want to offend our,
Well, I laughed out loud today because I heard the reverse luge, and it made me laugh. 'Cause I was like, "How hilarious was that? That should be on a
man.
t-shirt."
I'm waiting on the shirt, man. Reverse luge team.
Reverse
Crystal Lake
luge.
reverse luge. 1982 or whatever, 81. Yeah. Captain Mark, Or you got to put him in charge of training. Like, your
I'm
captain,
training.
Yeah, your
Right.
captain is Jason, but your
training.
your training guy is. What the hell was he training for, guys? And where is Paul?
He was training for the reverse luge.
Where's Paul?
Where's Paul?
I don't know, Jenny. I'm sorry.
How many Shih Tzus are in the woods?
We watched part 2 with my friends the other night. One of the guys hadn't seen it. I might have already talked about this on a previous episode. I don't care. You guys got to hear this part because I haven't talked about it yet. We get to the part where Jenny's under the bed and the rat. And my first-time viewer buddy goes, man, that rat had a lot of pee.
Oh.
And me and the other guy were like, what? Really? Like, I guess some people, I always thought when you would see that online that people would say, oh, it's a debate between whether it's Jenny or whether it's the rat. I thought they were just like covering for the fact that that's a pretty gross scene that probably shouldn't have been in the movie. But I guess like some people legitimately think that the rat peed. Isn't that weird? I think that's weird.
That is weird. That's weird.
That's weird. But I mean,
So
you know,
weird.
different strokes for different folks.
Hmm.
This weekend, full disclosure audience, tomorrow is Friday the 13th for real.
Yes.
I'm going to be watching Friday the 13th Part 3, which you know I'm excited about if you've heard our episode on that one. With first-time watcher guy so that he can finally see Part 4 eventually. He's got to see 3 first, I guess.
Yep.
Ugh.
It sucks, but
Wait, are you
You
cheating
gotta-
on us with some other viewer?
You guys are welcome to join.
nah, it's all right.
George, yeah, tomorrow night you got to watch them all again. It's tradition.
It is Friday. I mean, here's the thing, George.
I might watch this one again.
Tomorrow
Yeah,
is Friday
that's
the
good shit.
13th. You got to watch one. That's a rule. I mean, you can sometimes sneak in a Halloween instead if it's like October.
Nah.
But it's
Maybe.
November, dude. You got to watch a Jason movie. That's a rule.
Definitely.
Would your wife like this movie, George?
I was thinking that because my wife has been, you know, in and out of the room, you know, as I'm watching these movies, and I think that her, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but her opinion probably is that these movies stink. And I want to show her this one because this doesn't stink.
This one, what I would recommend, because I kind of know your wife, check, see if Netflix has it, or if it's on demand. You can get the edited version where you're not getting all the gratuity.
Less gore, less nudity.
Less nudity. No nudity. Like when I watched it at home, I watched it without all that stuff first time.
I mean, it's still got some boobies in it.
It's still good, but that stuff's all out. Like all the gratuity is kind of cropped and whatever, so you don't really see any of it.
Yeah.
So she might be able to sit through that because
don't think
there's
she'll-
a lot of
I
gratuity.
don't think she really care.
Okay, well, if she doesn't care, then by all means, show her the killer cut.
Yeah, I think I want to show her this because this is like a good. I might have to tell her a little bit of backstory about the first movie before we watch it, or maybe I should just maybe I should just watch the first
enough.
one.
Maybe just
It
watch
gives
the
you
first
just
one
enough.
with her,
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe watch the first
and
one
then
with
the
her.
second one, and then the third and the fourth.
third one. Go all the way up to 4 and then
Yeah.
just watch this.
Just
And then
skip
watch
3,
this.
dude. Just be like, oh, and then in part 3 he got a hockey mask. Here's part 4,
But the end of part 3 is so good.
and you
though.
get
Yeah.
it at the beginning of part 4. And the
Yeah,
wrap
you get
up.
the recap. You get the wrap up.
That's true.
Now, one last thing that we have to say, because we are really, I mean, I'm not ready to be done with Mr. J just yet.
Right.
I can't let go, George.
Well, we never did Freddy versus Jason, so we could always come back to
Yeah,
that.
we got to save that. We got to save that till
Yeah.
at least Nightmare 1 or 2. Just give George a little Freddy experience without ruining it for him by making him watch 4, 5, and 6.
Mm.
Ugh. I am going to watch 7 sometime this week, probably, just to keep up. See if maybe I like that one. I hear that one's good.
What is 7? Is that New Nightmare?
New Nightmare. I hear it's good.
That's very good. It's good.
I hear it's good.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it'll be better than 3, but I don't think it's going to
Yes.
unseat 2 as my second favorite.
Mm-mm.
Because
It's
2 is
it's good enough.
bonkers. Here's the thing, George.
2 I love.
You've now seen the remake, which at times I have said with my mouth to people that is that it's the third best Jason movie.
Okay.
Okay.
Now that's, I could get out from that as a technicality saying, well, part 1 doesn't count, so I just mean 2, 4, and then this one. But it's a real damn good one. How do you rank it? What is your initial impression? You're going to change over the years. Everything changes. But where right now, having just seen the perfect placement of all the kills and stuff, where does it rank in your Jason top 11?
Because it's a remake or a reboot, can it be ahead of the movies that it came from, its roots?
Would you rank Batman Begins ahead of Batman 66 or 89? Some people would.
Absolutely.
So you can do that with this one.
Okay.
I wouldn't,
would
though.
put-
Batman 89 is the king. Sorry, Batman Begins. You are second best. Third best, because Dark Knight. But
Dark Knight, right?
Batman Begins is really good, though.
It is very
Yeah, I
Really,
like
really
Batman
good.
Begins a lot.
Sneaky good. Sneaky good.
Yeah.
It takes its
I would
time.
go Dark Knight Begins, then
89.
89.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, this is really good. This is a really good movie. If I wasn't such a huge fan of 1 and 2, I think I have to do 1 and 2 and then this one.
I'm gonna flat out say this is better than 2.
Ooh. You know what my measure would be for why this isn't better than 2? Although I totally buy. I mean, dudes, this movie kicked ass. Like, it's cool.
I'm just thinking like as a package, the cinematography, the script.
I mean, if you're going
the
package, you got to go straight
quality.
to Jason 9.
No, stop it.
This takes way more risks. It adds way more to the lore. It does everything that you wanted in every movie is in this movie. So to me, yeah, 2 came first, but I'm going with the chicken here before the egg. Like this is way, to me, a complete movie.
Is it the
2 is
chicken
great.
though, or is it the like the all-you-can-eat Golden Corral buffet, where like it's everything you could possibly want on a plate, but it's not as genuine as like a nice steak with a good mashed potato at a steakhouse?
I hear that, but I put it how I judge it. If the other movies didn't exist, this would be amazingly probably the best slasher horror movie I've seen in 40 years.
But if the other movies didn't exist, how would you possibly realize when that girl gets thrown off of a second-story window onto the hood and windshield of a cop car that they're making simultaneous references to Part 4, Part 7, and Part 8?
Mhm.
in the same shot. Guys,
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, that's high efficiency. But is that
It's
a
good
better
stuff.
movie than part 2? I don't know. My measure would be I've watched part 2 3 times since September 1st. So
Mhm.
in 2 months, I've watched it 3 times. And I would watch it again. If somebody called me and was like, hey, it's Friday the 13th, and we don't want to watch part 3, we want to watch part 2 again. Yeah, I watched it Monday night. I'll watch it again tonight. It's fine. Let's do it. Part 2 is awesome. This one I hadn't watched for years, and I don't know how quick I'm going to get back to it.
I've seen it twice in a month, and I would watch it again. I'd go home tonight and watch it.
It is really good, man.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I'm a standby 1, 2, then this one, for me.
That's respectable.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I like 1. I just like 1 and 2.
I love 4 so much. The characters are so much more likable. Like, I don't want anyone in part 4 to die until they've made a mistake.
Right.
But in this one, Trent right away, God, paper cuts, you know.
Such a douche.
I'm not really attached at all to Eric Active. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. As soon as he's on the screen, I'm like, what's this guy good for? I don't know. Push-ups? Like, I don't need push-ups, guy. So there's a lot of people in this movie I just didn't attach to. But in part 4, I like them all. And then, like, the boyfriend's a dick. So, okay, yeah, spear gun through the dick, through the... Okay, yeah, that's fine. Because that guy sucked. But he didn't suck from the beginning. He became sucky after I already liked him.
Yeah.
So I'm still going to
I mean,
put part 4. I go back and forth between 2 and 4. Because 4... Man. I mean, a lot of it's just Peter Barton is dreamy AF, right? Like... He's got a beautiful face.
And I think one of the other things that makes me love this is it's modernized. I watch 4 as much as I love 4. I watch 2. 2 doesn't suffer as much as 4, but the acting is dated. The characters are forced. Like they're likable, but they're 80s likable. Like it's like watching Bachelor Party. It's just not, you're getting what you're getting, and you knew what you were gonna get.
I watched that the other day. I hadn't seen it maybe ever. Like I'd seen clips, but I don't know if I ever sat down and watched the whole thing. That's a laugh riot, and I will watch it again soon. But yeah, it's of a time.
Season 3.
Man, season 2. Next episode, let's just hit the brakes. We're watching Bachelor Party next.
Bachelor Party.
Actually, we're gonna watch Friday 2 because now that we've been talking about it again, I want to watch it again. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Mostly.
I'm gonna go home and do it.
Friday 2 like part of season 2. Just, like watch it again and talk about it again.
We'll at everybody.
Every season we're
Talking
gonna
about
do
it
Friday 1 and Friday 2 at least once, sometimes twice. We'll double up some seasons. Just taking your temperature on where we're at with the Jason movies.
Yep, still like it.
Season 35. Well, and you bring up a good point there, George. You don't mean to, but what you said brought me to this point. We are back in mid-season form. So what that means is as we go to a full-on every other week, bi-weekly format, we got to start teasing you with what your next movie's going to be.
That's right.
So we've come to that part in the show.
We haven't discussed this.
Where we're going to tell you what your next movie is. But like all rules that are meant to be broken, we're actually not even going to follow our new rules the first time.
Wow.
And let me tell you why. Something very important is coming up. On our release schedule, this episode is going to come out on December 16th. So listeners, you knew that already because you were listening to it at some point on or after December 16th. But what that means is, George, in between this week and our next scheduled release, there's a little winter solstice celebration happening.
Yeah, sure is.
There's going to be pagan trees, and Darlene Love's going to be on my Alexa about every 15 minutes. My kids are going to be like, aren't there other Christmas songs? And I'm going to be like, bitch, no. There is one Christmas song, and it is called Christmas. And she sings the song so well that she clips the fucking preamp, and they kept it in. And my kids are going to be like, Dad, don't say fucking. Also,
it's Christmas.
What's a preamp? And
where is the elf?
What is a clipping? Anyway, I'm getting excited, guys. As soon as Thanksgiving's over, Darlene Love 24/7 for 6 weeks. That's right. I listened to it until second week of January. Anyway, the snow's coming down, and it's Christmas. That's a good fucking song.
Mm-hmm.
George, Christmas is
Yes.
coming. Here's what we're going to do.
So we're watching, what's that movie that's everyone argues was whether or not it's a Christmas movie?
Die Hard?
Die Hard?
Yeah, so we're watching Die Hard?
No.
No.
Everybody's seen Die Hard.
I haven't seen Die
George
Hard.
I
hasn't
know,
seen
but we
Die
can
Hard.
watch Die Hard anytime. We are going to watch,
Okay.
piggybacking on the success of the fall break and the fact that I just can't get enough slashers. We're going to be watching the cult classic, controversial, movie theater picketing, Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Movie theater picketing.
Oh, there was controversy when this movie came out.
Is it sacrilegious?
No,
No, okay.
but it was dead set in the middle of the satanic panic of the 80s, and so
Mm.
slasher movies were causing kids to, play D&D and shit. Parents were losing their minds.
Mm.
And then this movie came out, and the poster art offended some people.
Nice.
Mm.
So
Is it,
the Karens got their picketing signs out, and they picketed.
Mm.
is
Karen's
it the
gonna Karen, man.
Santa arm going into the chimney holding an axe?
Hells
that-
yeah.
Yes, I remember
Hells
that
yeah.
poster.
Do people still say hells yeah?
Hells yeah.
No.
All right, good.
No.
Not at all.
Well,
We're
hell.
not people.
So, George, that's it, man. Next week, we're going to do a little extra for our audience at home. We're going to cover a little movie called The Silent Night, The Deadly Night. It's not actually what
Sound-
it's called. Silent Night, Deadly Night. It's good.
Now,
Sounds good.
what does it do to our curriculum if I have not seen it either?
Well, and I know from talking to you that you didn't see it. So it's it's not part of the curriculum. This is extra. This is a Christmas
Extra.
present from me to y'all's.
'Kay.
I'm not
It's Christmas break.
You can write this down. I am not punishing either of you, okay? I am gifting you
Nice.
in the German sense, where gift means poison.
Max Schnell. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us on episode 1 of season 2 of the Remedial Film Class podcast. As always, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Remedial Film Pod. You can find us at facebook.com/Remedial Film Pod. And you can email us at remedialfilmpod@gmail.com. We'll see you back next week for a special Christmas edition, a Christmas break, as they said. Silent Night, Deadly Night, ? All right, guys. We'll see you later.
Remember to tip your waitresses.
Yeah, 18% gratuity,
18%.
Gratuitize them.
but not in the taint. You got to go one way or the other.
Oh, Jesus.
Holy
Wow,
mackerel.
George with the Alf laugh.
Ah! Ah!